Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are stepping into the magical world of the poem The Astronomer by Rabindranath Tagore. Imagine this: you're traveling in a car on a quiet night or looking up at the moon through the branches of a tree. As a child, what thoughts would fill your mind? What little dreams or questions would sparkle in your imagination? That is exactly the feeling Tagore captures in this poem. Here, the poet shares a sweet memory where his dada fondly calls him a silly child for his innocent curiosity. So, let's dive into the poem. Before we begin, let's look at the author's profile. Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th May 1861 in Kolkata. He was a legendary poet, novelist, playwright, philosopher, composer, and a visionary educationist. His major works include Geetanjali, Gora, The Home and the World, and numerous other poems and works. In 1913, he became the first Asian to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for Geetanjali. Tagore also composed India's national anthem Jana Gana Mana and Bangladesh's Amma Shona Bangla. As an educationist, he founded Vishwabharati University, promoting creative and nature-based learning. Rabindranath Tagore passed away on 7th August 1941, leaving a timeless legacy. Now let's dive into the poem. The Astronomer. I only said, when in the evening the round full moon gets entangled among the beeches of that datum tree, couldn't somebody catch it? But Dada laughed at me and said, Baby, you're the silliest child I have ever known. The moon is ever so far from us. How could anybody catch it? I said, Dada, how foolish you are. When mother looks out of her window and smiles down at us playing, would you call her far away? In this part of the poem, the child talks about a simple moment filled with imagination. He says that in the evening, when the full moon looks like it is entangled, meaning caught or struck among the branches of the datum tree, he wonders why nobody tries to catch it. This thought comes from the innocent belief that what looks close must actually be close. His elder brother, his dada, laughs and calls him the silliest child he has ever known. Silliest here means foolish or lacking sense. At least in the eyes of an adult, Dada explains that the moon is actually very far away and therefore impossible to catch. But the child doesn't accept this logical explanation. He replies with a sweet comparison. When their mother looks down at them from the window and smiles, they never feel she is far away, even though she is at a distance. Here, the child is mixing emotion with distance, showing how children see the world not by measurement but by feeling. This part of the poem beautifully highlights the difference between an adult's logical mind and a child's imaginative thinking. Now let's look at the rest of the poem. Still, Dada said, You are a stupid child. But, baby, where could you find a net big enough to catch the moon with? I said, Surely you could catch it with your hands. But Dada laughed and said, You are the silliest child I have known. If it came nearer, you would see how big the moon is. I said, Dada, what nonsense they teach at your school. When mother bends her face down to kiss us, does her face look very big? But still Dada says, You are a stupid child. That's the end of the poem. Now let's look at the explanation. As the poem continues, Dada gets a little irritated and calls the child stupid, meaning lacking understanding, a harsh word that adults often use without real intention to hurt. He asks where the child would find a net big enough to catch the moon. A net is something used to trap or hold objects, usually animals or fish. But the child, still full of confidence, says, "You don't need a net. You could simply catch the moon with your hands," showing how pure and limitless a child's imagination can be. Dada laughs again and tells him that if the moon really came closer, he would see how big it actually is. The child once again argues using simple everyday life. He asks Dada why he believes such nonsense because when their mother bends down to kiss them, her face becomes very close, yet it never looks huge. In the end, Dada gives up and repeats, "You are a stupid child," showing how adults often fail to understand the beauty in a child's thought. This ending highlights one main idea of the poem. Children look at the world with wonder, creativity, and emotional closeness, while adults see everything through logical rules. Now let's look at the appreciation. The Astronomer by Rabindranath Tagore is a charming and thoughtful poem that celebrates the innocence and imagination of childhood. Through a playful conversation between a child and his elder brother, the poem beautifully contrasts a child's creative way of seeing the world with an adult's logical thinking. The child attempts to catch the moon, show how pure, curious, and limitless a young mind can be. Tagore uses simple language, gentle humor, and relatable examples to highlight how children find wonder in ordinary things. The poem reminds us that imagination is a precious gift, and sometimes adults should learn to see the world through a child's eyes. I hope you have understood the poem and the message within it. Thank you for watching.